Hello, hello, hello. I'm having to raise my camera up because it's getting tall. Let's see. This is 9.5 inches tall so far. And I'm just now getting to the chest level. I remember right, its full height was 22 inches, I think. Can't remember. But like I said last week, I'm doing some work on this off camera, coming on, doing a step with you guys. You can kind of get the update as to where I'm at. And I can't even fit it on the screen in one shot anymore. But yeah, it's elbows on the table, and that's where my hands are at. So she's getting tall. She is getting tall. So we are on step 15, and there's 4 parts to this one, so it should cover the hour perfectly. And I'm feeling a little better this week, not a whole lot, but I thought maybe I would talk with you guys this week in the Bunny Chronicles about my daughter's last year in 4-H. So she grew up, all of my kids really grew up in the 4-H program. But nobody was really super involved in it other than my daughter. Like my sons, they showed at fair, and that was it. They only raised market rabbits, and then when fair was over, they were kind of done. The first couple years, they did projects for still life, but that didn't last for very long. They kind of, I don't know, they got bored with it. They enjoyed going to fair. They just didn't enjoy all the work that went into it. Well, not all of it. I shouldn't say that. They cooked. They did baking and stuff like that all the way up until they aged out of 4-H. But they didn't do animals outside of the fair. And yeah, it was like as soon as they aged out, they were done. My daughter, however, she transitioned over into being an adult exhibitor in still life, not in animals, because she did not live anywhere after high school where it was conducive to her owning her own rabbits again. She's hoping that someday in the future that changes. But anyway, her last year in 4-H was really cool. People may have noticed, I'm sure you know, I have the tattoo on my arm. And if you watch the Marguerite Miller challenges that I was doing with my daughter last year, you may have noticed that she has the same tattoo. That is our mother-daughter tattoo. And it is our healing process. She was a very rough teenager, and I did not handle things well with her. I didn't have the resources that I needed in order to be able to learn how to handle what was going on with her. And so it was just a bad scenario all the way around the border. And in fact, when she was not voluntarily leaving for Job Corps, she was just given no other option because we were in such a bad place that it wasn't going to end well for either one of us. But I digress. Let me get back into the positives here. So her last year of fair, she decided, without any coaching or prompting, she decided that she was going to donate the proceeds of one of her market rabbits to the Tri-City Cancer Center. Now, people that don't show rabbits, don't do fair or whatever, let me step back and I'll explain. So market rabbits are the meat rabbits. Those are the ones that get sold for butcher. And my kids did that every year. Our fair at the time, the way our fair did it was rabbits were sold by the pound. And so if your buyer bids $6 a pound, for example, and you have a 3.5 pound rabbit, you're earning 18, like 20, was that 21.50, something like that? Can't do that off the top of my head. For that rabbit. Okay, $6 is like really, really, really low. Just saying. But I was just throwing a number out there that would be somewhat easy for me to do multiplied by 3, and I still failed because I went out on a half. But there's options. There's always options for buyers to do add-ons. So like if the say the rabbit sells for that $6 a pound, well, there's other buyers that might think, well, that's too low of a price and that child deserves more than what they're going to get paid. So they can contact the fair office, for example, and add on to their ticket. But this particular, and that usually happens, especially when, there's a lull in the bidding and rabbits start going for like hardly any money. There's usually some, businesses, because that's a tax write-off for them. They don't even have to take the rabbit home with them. If they don't want to, they can. Legally, it's theirs. But they don't have to if they don't want to. And it can go back to the kids, so they get their money and the bunny back on top of that. Anyway, I keep getting distracted, sorry. Since it was her last year, she decided that she wanted to donate the proceeds of her rabbit to the Tri-City Cancer Center. I had no idea that this was happening until it was live. She was in the auction ring, and as she walked into the ring, she handed the auctioneer a piece of paper, and I'm sitting on the sidelines going, what is she doing? And then he read her note, and I was like, well, she's doing what? So he starts the bid. 2, 3. Sorry, I gotta figure out where my error is here. 1, 2, down 1, over 3, down 1. Aha. Nope, 3, 2, 3. Nope. Yes, 3, 2, 3, down. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Give me a second. 1, 1, 2, 3, down. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, over, down. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. There we are. It's right here. Boink. So she gets in the auction ring, and he announces, that she's raising money for the Tri-City Cancer Center. And it starts out, slow like normal. And then the bids start picking up. and then it's boom, 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 and it's like going super fast paced, and the callers are yep, yep, yep. I mean, just it was going insane, and the number was going up and 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 up, and it just kept climbing and climbing and climbing and climbing. And I'm sitting on the sidelines in just absolute shock. I look at my daughter, who's, in the show ring with her bunny, and she's in tears. I'm in tears. There's people in the audience that are crying. And it was just, it was a powerful moment to begin with. And in the end, when it was all said and done, ringside, so this was during the actual part of the auction, she earned $7,600 for the Tri-City Cancer Center. Now, they don't do, when you pledge your money like that, you don't do any paperwork ahead of time, anything like that. But you are not allowed to have the money for yourself. You don't get to take control of it, because that's a lot of money to then have faith that the people are going to do right, and actually donate it like they said they were going to, once they see the amount of money that it raised. So as a policy, the fair doesn't do that. You automatically hand off the reins over to them for them to cut the check for the organization, which obviously we were fine. It's like, yeah, I'm glad they did that, because that was a lot of money. They did contact, they had the Tri-City Cancer Center contacted us, and she was there when they were presented with the check. Got a hammer for a sec. And our local newspaper came out and interviewed her, which I thought was also pretty sweet. Some people were mad, because they felt like they weren't going to get as much money on their animals because the buyers spent all their money on hers. But that same club, every year, kids in their club did stuff like that, and nobody ever complained. But then we found out when she was, like I said, she was invited up to the cancer center when they were presented the check. We found out at that time that an additional $10,000 was added on to her rabbit as a donation. So, shock. We were shocked. We were speechless. I mean, it was just wow. But that is what the pink, and sorry, my color sucks. The pink breast cancer ribbon right here in the center, that is what that represents, because, and it's one of the things that no matter how bad things were between her and I, at no point was I not proud of her. And that was just a way for me to remind her of that, even as when we were really bad, when things were really, really bad, I was never not proud of her. Didn't always like the things that she was doing, didn't always like the people she was hanging out with, the choices she was making, and was very irritated that the state of Washington was like, well, trying to hold me accountable for her actions when they tie the parents' hands at the age of 12, and there's nothing I could do to make her do anything. I couldn't make her take her meds. I couldn't make her go to counseling. Nothing like that, because the state of Washington says at the age of 12, you have enough maturity to make that decision yourself. So when she went off to, she finished. She went off to Job Corps. Things were a little rocky when she got back. We had some more bumps in the road. We didn't talk for a couple years. And then, okay, this way. When we did finally start talking and getting our lives back together, like together, we got our bracelets. And we've added to it over time. We're way overdue for adding to it. But at the core were these 3 pieces. This is a cupcake, and this is a bunny. This is me instilling in her love of baking and her love of animals. That's what those 2 represent. Pride was the awareness ribbon. Now when we added onto it, it was, we wanted to have the same symbol, but we both agreed that it could have different meaning for each of us. So we both wanted to get the Volkswagen symbol. But when I asked her, what does the Volkswagen symbol mean to you? Initially she couldn't come up. She couldn't say. She didn't know. And I said, well, when you know what that symbol means for you and why you want it permanently tattooed onto your body, then we can go and get it done. And it took her a little bit. I mean, she was still young, so it took her a little bit to figure out, what it meant for her. Because what you guys don't know is a Volkswagen Beetle. We bought her for her 16th birthday. That was her birthday present. We got her a baby blue 1971 Volkswagen Beetle. She named her Sonia. Sonia now lives in Oregon with my husband's cousin, because I got tired of looking at it in my driveway, just sitting and doing nothing. So finally talked my husband into selling it, but it's in the family and we have first buyback rights if, he ever decides he doesn't want it anymore. But that was why, initially she was like, well, because of Sonia, that's why I want it. And I'm like, but what does that represent? What does Sonia represent for you? And like I said, it took her probably, I don't know, better part of 6 months. And then she finally came to me and she goes, I've got it. I know. And I'm like, all right, what you got? Hold on a sec, I'm looking at the wrong one. Where am I at? 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. second. I gotta get my brain going right again. Is that okay? So what you got? What does it mean for you? And she looked at me dead in the face and she goes, gratitude. I could not have hoped for a better answer. Because that was one of the biggest issues we was listen to my English right now. That was one of the biggest issues we were having. And why she was not allowed to live at my house anymore was because there was an absolute lack of any kind of gratitude for anything that was, that she had in her life. She was being an ungrateful little teenager who had some mental health issues that we were not aware of fully at the time. And like I said, what little we did know, my hands were tied by the state and getting her any kind of help. So I was like, that is absolutely perfect. I couldn't have asked for a better answer. So we made the appointment and we went and we saw Jazzy and we got our Volkswagen symbol added to our bracelet. And then as years went on, more things happened. And this was, we'd already had the bracelet when things went haywire the second time. And this is when we didn't talk for a couple years. But it was my granddaughter, actually, that essentially, more or less, is what brought us back together. Because we hadn't spoken in like 2.5 years. She was actually 7 months pregnant when she contacted me to let me know that I was going to be a grandparent. And as much as I'm not a fan of her ex-husband, if it weren't for him, I don't know how long or how old my granddaughter would have been by the time we spoke again, if ever. So I will give him that, because he told her, you need to tell your parents. And but we went the other symbol. So I got the Volkswagen over here. That one hurt, by the way, because it's right on my bone. And then right here is a musical note. And that was when one of our favorite bands, when she was growing up, was called Trick Pony. They never really made it super big, but we liked them. Excuse me. They were playing at a local bar. I was like, are you serious? Yay! So I paid for VIP tickets and we went and watched them live. A little disappointing because, yeah. Anyway, that's what these are. And the idea was every time we do something together that works toward healing our bond, then, healing our relationship, that we would get another charm added on. We've been meaning for a very long time to go get something added for the granddaughter. Looking for some singles. We just haven't done it. She's gotten so many tattoos on her own. We just haven't been able to get ours done. And a big part of that is that, you know, she lives an hour and a half away. We have different, there's a single. We have different tattoo artists now. So we have to like figure out, are we going to go with hers or mine when we're ready to do it? At this point, I'm more inclined to go with hers since mine is she's a little hard to get a hold of now. I think that's because she's gotten better and she's got a bigger clientele, so she doesn't like doing these like little pieces anymore because they don't make her a lot of money. So like when last time I called her and tried to make an appointment, it was like, oh well, like 3 months from now, and I'm like, for a 1 hour tattoo? I mean, come on. So when we get ready to do it, it'll probably be with her artist. When we can, you know, get our shite together, get our schedules coordinated. But who knows? We'll see. But yeah, that's what that is. So back to her last year affair. Her last year affair is also the first year that she actually qualified to go to state. And I was like, ay. And of course, you know, she's like, it's my last chance. Yep, she was right. It was going to be her last chance to be able to do it. So we sucked it up and, you know, it's like, well, we'll figure it out. We'll figure out how to pay for it. Hold on a second. I should have more gradients. These are 3s. Are there any 2s? Oh, there are 2s in here. So while, you know, and we're having this discussion while she's waiting, you know, for her next round, because at that point in time, you could have 2 rabbits and you can either sell them as a lot and go in the ring once, or you can sell them individually and go in 2 separate times. So when she got in line, it was in line, you know, and when it was her turn to be up, the auctioneer asked her, well, what's the money for this one going to? And she goes, state fair. Man, he worked that ring like nobody's business. And her second rabbit sold for $700 and change, which was crazy. Needless to say, we, as the parents, did not have to pay anything for her to go to state. Her auction money completely covered all of her expenses, which was cool. And then we surprised her. My husband, my bestie, and myself drove up to Puyallup paid a fortune to get into State Fair. Not to mention we had to walk forever. Never want to do that again. Never want to go to that fair ever again. And surprised her, which was that was fun too. But that was her last year in 4-H, and then off to Job Corps. So she spent 2 years away from home doing Job Corps. Came home. More stuff hit the fan. Big fight. Didn't talk for 2.5 years. Yeah. But if you guys have seen us if you've watched our Marguerite Millers, and she's been in a few of my lives when I was doing live streams. We're good. We're good. It's a long road back. It's hard for me, to see people that take for granted their children and don't take the time to fix things, and they just let things be and be like, oh well, in good time, or whatever. And it's like, life is too short for that, because you never know what you're gonna miss by sitting on your hands and waiting for the right time, because that right time may never come. Looking for a single. There's a single. Those single ones are hard to deal with. Those my fingers don't want to work on them. Okay, so see what I got going on here. So 1, 2, 3, up 2, over 2, up 2 and 3, up 2, 3, 3, 1, 3, 2, no, 3, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, I see what I did. That's what happens. Looking at the wrong. I'm mixing them up again. Okay, so I need this one to go this way. This one to go this way. This one goes this way. And that's an extra. This one goes right here. Right there. one more row to go on this step. So once I get the glue on, I think I will start my Spotify. Get some music going in the background. It's pretty fun that, you know, now that my granddaughter is old enough to do stuff. She's not quite old enough to be a full-fledged 4-H'er yet, but she is what's called a clover bud. But it's so fun to watch her now engage in activities and work on projects and all that stuff I did with my kids when they were growing up. I now get to watch my granddaughter do. Okay. Cooperate with me, please. Give this a little knocky knock because it's not wanting to stay put. And then this one, so that there goes right there. But it's hard, you know, for her because she is a member of our club, and not only is she the only out of county one, but she's also alternating weeks between her mom and her dad. So it's like trying to coordinate things for her to be able to attend activities when they fall on her dad's weekend, or her dad's week, I should say, has proven to be a little bit of a challenge. But we manage. We'll keep managing. 1, 2, 3, 4. Good. I don't have to keep digging. So 1 and 2. Oh shoot, yes I do. I need some on the other piece. The main body piece, you know. Two this way, 3 this way. 1, 2, 3 up. 1, 2, and 3. There's that one. Okay, and then I need 2 more. Well, that was easy. Pulled them down and they went right to the top. I like that. Oh, and there's no white ones in this one. Just grays and blues. Sweet. I'll have to get some more blues out here. Okay, so we've got 1, 2, and a single gray. 2 blue. That way, let's go 3 this way. And 1, 2, 3, 4. And then a 3. And then a 2. And then a 2 this away. And then a 2 this away. Another one. We have a 3. 2. Down. 1, 2. 2 3s and a 2. Down. 2. A 3. And down a 3. Hey, ouch. Nope. Back up. 2, 3. Down a 2. Down a 2 this way. Then a 3. And then a 2. 3. And a 3. These out of the way. These out of the way. These out of the way. Split. So the second one here goes on the third one there. Oh, I'm totally off camera. Sorry. It's getting harder and harder to keep you guys on camera, though, I will say. She's getting so big. This one, middle 3. Goes the second one right there, next to the white. Ugh. Okay. And there we go. There's the completion of step 15. Got the little tablet starting over here. Very cool. Ah! Okay. Gotta fix these two. Let's try that again. See, these are still too low. Okay. There we go. Fixed. Had her sitting upside down over there, letting the weight of everything else weigh down on what I just got done gluing on. So hopefully they adhere to each other. So with that, do all those YouTubey things, the thumbs up, the subscribes, hit that ring-a-dingy-dingy, and you'll always know when my videos drop. And as always, please, 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 feel free to share my content with anybody that you think would enjoy it. And we will talk to you later. Bye!